Welcome to Real Estate Radio Live, an informative and engaging podcast discussing everything you need to know about the world of real estate. Your host, Joe Caccera, provides you with insight and guidance on how to buy, sell, finance, and invest in real estate. He also offers real estate tax management strategies, new construction advice, home improvement tips, and much, much more. And now, to guide you around the world of real estate, here's your host and Real Estate Radio Live team leader, Joe Caccera.
Welcome in, Joe Caccera with Real Estate Radio Live. Thank you for those that are watching us on the live feed on Facebook. Just a reminder, we try to stay on the schedule and come to you every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, right about 3 o'clock or so Pacific Standard Time. In order to stay consistent, for those that are viewing the show and following, thank you very much. We appreciate that. We're going to try to continue to give as many vehicles and many opportunities we can for you to follow the show, watch the show. More importantly, however, we'd love to have you download the podcast. That way you could listen to the show anytime at your convenience. You could do that by going to iTunes and just typing in Real Estate Radio Live. You go to our website, Real Estate Radio Live, reradiolive.com, and get the podcast there as well. For those that are just checking in or you're not familiar with the show, for almost 8 years, the focus has been education and information. That's the objective. What we try to do is work really hard to have great guests like I have today. I'll introduce in just a minute. Share content, information, really with the main objective in mind is to educate the consumer to help you make wise decisions in and around your real estate. So we'll continue to do that. We'll continue to focus on that as much as we can. So the series we have going on for July and August is the future of the real estate industry, and so I'm working to get as many executives, owners as I can from the real estate companies to really pick their brains a little bit about what's going on in the industry, the future, what it looks like, concerns, how does technology or will it change, how does it change the perspective for the companies, for the real estate agents, for the consumers. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. So let me invite my guest in today. In studio we have Mr. Brian Crane. He is a Senior Vice President and one of the founders for Intero Real Estate. Good to have you here, Brian.
Hey, thanks, Joe. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. It's always good to have you. Brian has been on the show several times, and we've also done a few events together with the Toll House, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, those are fun.
It's always a good time.
Very good. So I want to welcome Brian in. He's one of the founders, again, with Intero Real Estate and a Vice President. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the items I just discussed. Before we do that, maybe if you could, Brian, if you could give the listeners just a minute or so of your background and then your roles and responsibilities currently with Intero.
Okay, so background-wise, I started out many years ago in the mortgage business, and I evolved from the mortgage business over to the real estate sales side, and in early 90s, I joined Contempo Realty, and with Gino Blafari, Intero's founder, and from there grew a very strong real estate practice. And then in 2002, when Gino decided to start Intero, he asked me to come over and help him with the Los Gatos location. So we didn't have any office and no people, and just started from scratch. We built a building on Santa Cruz Avenue in Los Gatos, and we hired 85 people before we even opened the doors. Wow, and moved 85 people in within a couple of months of opening the doors. And so that was the beginning of Intero 15 years ago, and I run the Intero's Los Gatos office, and we've got about 120 realtors there, and which is becoming a bit of now a boutique actually at 120. But that's a little bit about my background.
Very good. Yeah, you guys have built a successful, great brand tradition in the marketplace for sure, and well known. Maybe we could start by giving us a quick overview, if you would, of the Bay Area real estate. We all know that last couple of years, Brian, we've been, low inventory. All of a sudden, recently, though, that's changed a little bit, even though historically still it's a bit low. But maybe give us kind of a quick overview on the market, as I'll call it the Silicon Valley or Santa Clara County market, how things are going, some concerns, or even some of the things you're excited about what's happening here in the marketplace.
Yeah, Joe, I mean, we're super fortunate to do what we do in Silicon Valley with real estate. Anybody who's a homeowner who's owned property wishes they bought more. So, the market is still fundamentally very strong. We've had a little bit of a summer slowdown, or people are calling it a little bit of a summer slumber. But I think we're going to see that, bottom line is the fundamentals are still there. Interest rates are still historically low. Job growth is still phenomenal. The local economy is amazing, and the local stock market is on fire. So with that, we have some phenomenal fundamentals, and I think that the market's going to continue to be strong. I think the slumber kind of wakes up here in the middle of August, and we finish the year very, very strong. The one benefit that we've had since this summer slumber is that the inventory is up a little bit, which is giving some buyers an opportunity to get out and buy without competing against 10 other offers and that kind of thing. So it's a great time to be a buyer because inventory is up a little bit, and if the seller, is cognizant of that and prices well, they're going to have a great experience as well.
Very good. Let's say that now for those that are listening to the show yesterday and listening to that, is that exactly Brian said what I said. I did a show yesterday specifically on buyers, get out there and make your move now, right? Because there's this window, and you forget the last couple of years, the buyers are beat up.
Buyers have had to compete, and it's been brutal for buyers. But in the long run, Bay Area real estate is historically a good bet. And the other benefit that buyers have to kind of keep in mind is that everybody needs a roof over their head. So over time, it'll appreciate in value, and you got to live somewhere. So get in and get it done.
Very good. Well, let's chat a little bit about the challenges of the industry. Well, maybe the industry in general, and then your company. I guess we could talk about Silicon Valley, and you could address national if you want. But what do you see as some of the biggest challenging taking place in the industry at this point? What you guys are faced with maybe as a company, and then you see it industry-wide?
Well, I don't think there's any question that there are a lot of people gunning for the real estate industry. The disruptors are out in full force, and I think some of that is contributing to a bit of a cannibalization of the industry itself. I think that there's two things going on. The consumer would like to pay a lower fee, and the real estate agent would like to get a higher commission split. And so with that, the companies are facing pressure on the margin. And with that, I think that companies are trying to buy market share any way they can, and I think potentially many of them are losing sight of the bottom line and their ability to exist in a less robust market.
You've been in this business for years. Do you see it as people reacting different ways? And what I mean by that, some people are maybe overreacting, thinking I better go take as much market share as I can as quick as I can. And do you see companies saying, you know what, we love our model, we're going to stick to our model, we have to make some fine tunes, but this is what we're going to do? Are you seeing a little bit of everything?
Yeah, I think there's both. I think certainly there's some companies that have this idea that if they buy a bunch of market share, that just because they have volume, they're going to have profit. And I think they miss the mark on understanding the fundamentals. You have to run a business. And the market being as good as it's been, I think it's hidden a lot of mistakes. And as the market transitions potentially to a little bit of a more challenging market, I think those companies are going to be in trouble.
Yeah, no, I agree. So as a leader, you're running the Los Gatos branch, but again, you're a founder, so you're involved with a lot of this stuff. You guys are growing as well. We talked a little before the show on how the growth that your company's experiencing. So what specifically, maybe either in your branch or your company, what are some of the things, Brian, you guys are looking at? In other words, I guess, are you going to we're doing the same we're doing, or are there adjustments that you have to make because of some of the businesses or some of the ways the industry's changing?
I think a little bit of both. We were founded on the idea that we were going to be an agent-centric company, and that is that we were going to serve the agents, and if we did that well, then the agents would thrive, and that model has served us very, very well over the years. So we're going to continue to help the agent any way we can. It's still a sales business, and it's a lead generation business, and so we're going to help. We're going to train, we're going to coach agents on how to continue to generate leads creatively in a market that's changing.
Right.
And so that, I think, is one of the things. Real estate agents in many cases feel like they're an island, and we're going to bring them over to the mainland. And I think a lot of agents appreciate that. They want to be part of a collaborative team, and they want to be part of an environment of upbeat, professional people trying to build and grow. And that energy is something that we've always thrived to provide and continue to thrive on. And lastly, I think it's super, super important to emphasize the focus on the consumer experience. And so our model of partnering with strategic partners throughout the industry, all all who are on the same page with regard to customer service and quality of service deliverable, that is going to be, I think, a critical piece and a big differentiator as we witness some of these other models come online where the delivery of the experience isn't going to be as good.
Yeah, and let's face it. I mean, for those that have sold homes, we all know that the experience is a little different than buying an iPhone or buying a laptop or, getting a taxi ride. They're all different. It's major different. And for the most part, and I think you and I agree too, I mean, this is an experience that most people, especially in the Silicon Valley, we're more familiar with, very, very busy, oftentimes both, dual incomes, busy families, busy lives. The last thing they want to do is do their own open house or do their own marketing or they want someone to help them with that.
Yeah, the example I use, Joe, is Amazon. Amazon, when they started, was you'd go to Amazon because you could get the lowest price on Amazon, and that was how they got started. But in reality, people go to Amazon now, I think, because it's easy, convenient, and quick. And people generally assume that the price is good. They don't shop it.
Good point.
So I think with real estate, it's that experience that we deliver that's going to, at the end of the day, be the most important thing. And the price is certainly, we have to be competitive, but I don't think price is the absolute bottom line. I think it's more the overall experience. When somebody's selling a multi-million-dollar asset, they want a good experience out of this thing.
Yeah. I guess there's two questions here. First, how do you keep your team, your agents focused and kind of as much as you can in a market like this? We all know when there's all these distractions, there's the new shiny things that come out and people are offering money. And so do you just continue to communicate, do something differently? Do you focus on the value proposition that you guys always have? Is there a strategy? How do you guys handle all that in a market like this?
Yeah, it's a challenge to help people understand the difference. A lot of them are attracted to the shiny penny and the new thing, and it's always been the case. When we started, it was we were the new thing, and so we had a good run at it, and now we just have to continue to articulate the difference. And I kind of sometimes use the example of stability and leadership, and our company, well, my office has had the same leadership for 15 years, for better, for worse. But that's, that bottom line is that's stability. And whereas some of our competitors switch over the leadership team in the office, once every 6 months, once every year. Oh, we got a new leader this month, and then that person is busy trying to do what they do, and then they're out. So we try to stay consistent and continue to deliver quality, ethical help. That's kind of what we're there for people. I think another problem, is with some of the new business models is they're attempting to cut costs, and in that they're cutting help to the realtor, specifically as it relates to the broker or manager, if you will. And in many cases, that person is also forced to sell real estate because they don't pay them enough. And so you just have this watering down, in my opinion, of the quality and leadership in many of these organizations. Right.
And to a certain extent, too, those that study the industry and follow it like we do, again, I'll make these examples. I mean, a lot of these homeowners for the last 10, 15, 20 plus years, and then their families and relatives and coworkers, and they have developed relationships with people over the years. Again, it's a little different versus going to buy an iPhone, and use that example. That, I guess what I'm trying to say is the new models or the aggressive marketing, a lot of this stuff takes place. It's still going to take a while, or I'm not sure. It's going to be impossible to have someone dominate overnight, I would think, because it's a relationship-driven business overall over the several decades. Would you agree, or what would your assessment be?
Yeah, I'd agree wholeheartedly that the real estate agent is generally in command of the business, and it's their relationships with their clients. And it's one of the objectives we have as a company is to actually help our agents continue to engage with their database, with the people that they're in relation with. NAR has a statistic that says 70% of the real estate agents don't stay in touch after the closing. And we specifically are helping the agents by actually providing quality content so they can stay in touch with their people. And I think that's going to help dramatically. And it's an example of how we're adding value as a leadership team and as a company to the agents that choose to be with us.
Very good. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break because of the podcast. We're going to need to do that. So this is Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. We're in studio today with Brian Crane. He's the Vice President and Co-Founder with Intero Real Estate. We're going to continue our conversation in just a minute.
For more information on today's program, visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com.
Getting ready to buy or sell a home in 30, 60, or 90 days? Check out BundleSelect.com to find out how you could save 20% or more on your entire transaction, real estate, lending, and title. With BundleSelect.com, technology and a personal concierge are at your service to save you time and money. BundleSelect's hand-picked team of experts will compete for your business, so you'll save thousands of dollars by bundling real estate, lending, and title services. BundleSelect.com gives you all the control, including using your own realtor. I'm Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live, and I have been on the radio educating consumers for years. I'm here to tell you BundleSelect.com is the best way to save money on real estate. By bundling services, you could save tens of thousands of dollars. This savings model could save you money on your move, lower your interest rate, or cover your closing costs. Visit BundleSelect.com. That's BundleSelect.com.
The estimated minimum savings are based on a comparison with the national average. Individual results may vary, and the estimated savings are not guaranteed. Bundle Select Inc. is a licensed real estate broker. California Bureau of Real Estate Broker license number 004666902.
Welcome back to Real Estate Radio Live. For more information on today's topic or guests, just visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com. Again, your host for today's edition of Real Estate Radio Live, Joe Kuchera.
Welcome back in. Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. Thank you for those that are following us live on the Facebook feed. We'll continue to do the shows again. We try to stay consistent Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, right around 3 o'clock or so Pacific Standard Time in order to give those that are following the show an opportunity to do that as well. But we'd love to have you download the podcast, so please do that if you have not. That's you go to iTunes and type in Real Estate Radio Live. You could also go to our website, RERadiolive.com, and get the podcast there. Today we have in studio Mr. Brian Crane. He is a vice president and co-founder with Intero Real Estate, kind enough to spend some time with us today talking about the future of the real estate industry, what's happening, what could be happening, and some of the expectations and what the industry could be in store for, I guess, over the next couple of years. Brian, jumping back into this, technology, let's talk about that. You know, it's funny, we're right in the heart of Silicon Valley, so I think we, more than anybody, I'm not making a judgment as much as an observation, we, as much as anybody that live here and work here, we are inundated and surrounded by people and technology, and it's a different world. And so I guess with that, let's talk a little bit about technology as it relates to real estate. You've seen a lot of new companies coming in and saying, you know, we're going to do this with technology, and we're a technology real estate company, and we're going to take technology and change a certain aspect of it, whether it's the agents or the consumers. Give me kind of your overview of the technology as it relates to real estate right now, and do you see any major changes in that? And if you do, what are those?
Yeah, at Intero, we have always embraced technology, and we started out our company. We actually designed and implemented a brand new platform that helped agents be more efficient. And so since the beginning, we've been a big part of embracing technology. I think technology will continue to help a real estate agent not only be more efficient, but deliver a little bit of a higher level of service to their clients. So, you know, we definitely want to be on the cutting edge of that. Our technology platform is one that where we can plug in different top technologies as we move forward, as opposed to the one we started with 15 years ago, which was all proprietary. Now we're more buying the best of the best off the shelf and plugging it in, and that allows our agents to always have the best technology that is on the marketplace.
So would you consider yourself then a real estate company that makes the best use of technology to serve your agents and clients? Would that be the way you would categorize that?
Yeah, for sure. We believe in local real estate. Most people make a decision because they want to find a trustworthy person to help them with the largest purchase decision or sale decision they're going to make potentially in their lifetime. Right. So they look for somebody who they can trust, and that is typically local, and quite frankly, technology is usually not at the forefront of the consumer's decision process. I think the forefront is, can I trust this person? Is this person somebody I can trust?
Yeah, and let's talk a little bit, too, because I'm in the middle of this every day, too, and study and understand it pretty well. So I think on the behalf of the consumer who's watching, listening to this podcast later, that we want to try to do the best job we can not to mislead. And what I mean by that is, so when someone is talking in the media or talking about a technology company as it relates to real estate, you really have to find out what they mean by that, Brian. I mean, for me too, and you too, right? Because you and I are in it, we understand it. So when somebody is touting or saying we're a real estate technology company or we're taking, you really have to ask, what does that mean? And when you start asking what does it mean, when you really find out is some of it might be just a lot of salesmanship or trying to maybe glamorize something. The reality is, and you correct me because you're the expert here, most real estate companies have, technology programs behind the scenes, platforms that help their agents make a better use of technology through CRM, through marketing, a lot of different, to communicate with clients and the multiple listing service and a number of different things. Has anything recently changed behind the scenes that a company has come up with? It's like, my gosh, this is a mind-blowing technology that we've never seen before. Has anything like that shown up yet?
No, I don't really think that there's anything mind-blowing showing up. I think, one of the big shifts that we've had, and we're still seeing most agents are adopting, but some are holding out. But you have a lot of cloud-based transactions going on right now. You have electronic signature, which we've been using for 8 years now, probably even longer now. So those are wonderful technologies that have saved a lot of time for the consumer and for the agents driving across town for signatures and that kind of thing. But as far as monumental shift in technology as it affects real estate, I just don't really see a big change in that. There are some of these disruptor models that are talking about. One of them will have a lockbox on there that a consumer can drive up to and open, but that, in my opinion, misses the mark. Getting in the house or access to the house is generally not the major part of a real estate transaction. Clients are counting on a real estate agent to help negotiate, to help understand the local market and what's going on. Even in our local market, from street to street, there's a difference in valuation and neighborhood and that kind of thing. So those are the things that I think our consumers are really leaning on our agents for, not necessarily that the door automatically opens when the buyer shows up.
Right.
I just don't see that as a...
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. Plus, I also believe, and I think that if you do the research and understand consumer behavior, and I'll call it, people have different words for it, but consumer adaptability or consumer timing. In other words, it'd be great if I'm a company and I decide to launch this magical technology because I think it's so great myself, but the consumers may not be ready for it. Yeah. Right? That's the interesting part about the dynamics of business versus technology versus consumer adaptability.
Right. Right. Sure. Do they want to take on this fairly large task that currently has a tremendous amount of moving parts? Mm-hmm. And do they want to do that alone? Right. Do they want to risk, their equity and the time it takes to make a mistake? Right. There's just so many reasons why. You're absolutely right. I think that unless somebody can kind of simplify everything on every level for the consumer, the real estate agent's going to be key and necessary. Yeah. I remember not too long ago, for instance, in your business, I remember one of the presidents of one of the large companies, which is no longer around anymore, but he was saying that getting a mortgage was going to be like buying a car. Right. It was going to happen in 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. And we all saw what happened with that program in 2008, 2009, when it was so easy to get a mortgage. Then we had the financial meltdown. Right. So I don't think that it's that easy to get a mortgage. I don't think that it's that easy to buy or sell a house. And I think there's going to be a lot of human touch involved in that process.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's going to be a while before we have robots doing all this stuff.
Right.
So let's shift gears a little bit. Let's talk about some of the new models out there. You touched on it earlier, Brian, a little bit. So as a company, as a founder, as a vice president, someone's running, you're managing a lot of people, an organization. What models out there do you look at and you go, geez, these are kind of interesting. I could see them maybe, taking some market share. I guess, are there some that you're interested in or saying, we better keep an eye on those, or are there others that you're just not concerned about?
Well, I believe there's room for all the models to exist. I think there's going to be a vast difference between the models on profitability, between the different real estate models. And I honestly believe there are several of these models that do not understand profitability. And I think some of them are even vying to go public. So they're buying market share like crazy with the idea that we're going to go public. But if any investor looks behind the curtain and realizes that they've bought the market share and the agents aren't locked in, the agent is an independent contractor that can walk across the street anytime they want, I think that model just comes unglued. And I feel sorry for anybody that invests in a company like that because of the nature of the real estate business, and the independent contractor can walk any day they want. So that's, I think there's going to be room. It's a capitalist society. Everybody can take a shot at it. But in the long run, in markets thick and thin, I think it's going to be the model that serves the consumer with the best experience and trains and educates their realtors to help with that process.
Yeah. Let's face it, and one of the reasons that the real estate industry, and we haven't even talked about commercial, but just residential, but if you throw commercial in there's one of the reasons that a lot of the industries and technology and investors are looking at it because of a huge market share, right? I mean, there's all kinds of things you could do with real estate. So I think that's an intriguing play when you look at it from that perspective. But also, there's more to it than that. There's a reason why it's a little more involved. So with that, I know you don't have the crystal ball, the magic wand, but if we look ahead maybe 3 to 5 years, do you think there's still just enough business to go around with really smart people running companies, and if they run smart businesses, there's plenty of models to go around and there could be a lot of success? Or do you think there's going to be certain models that might dominate in a few years from now? Or is that going to change much, you think?
Well, I think with the inevitable changing economy and markets, you're going to see companies come and go just like you always have. Right. We had a big discount company in town several years ago, and several years later I watched them with a pickup truck and a trailer, and they took all their furniture home. They didn't make it. And I think you're going to see a lot of that with these models, and I think that's probably part of disruption in general, where people take a stab at something and then it doesn't work, and maybe they revise it and try again. But in any case, I think that's the nature of capitalism.
Yeah,
and
we're
going to see that.
One of the things we talked a few minutes ago about, but I wanted to have you comment a little bit again, is that I'm guessing one of the keys to how important leadership is, like yourself and the team that's running Intero right now, and as you guys grow, and you've grown quite a bit as well in general, throughout the nation. But when times like this come about and you have people with a bit of anxiety, I mean, you could just feel it and see it in the air. You could see it in some of the conferences. The Big Inman conference was up a couple of weeks ago. It was interesting, the way that went. It was almost like a reality show to some extent than anything else. But so I guess my point is, as a leadership team, right, I think if you calm the ship, you communicate, this is our mission, this is our plan, because if you guys are panicking or you guys do not know what the heck you're going to do, that's going to be relayed to your team members, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think, as a leadership team, we're going to stay true to our core, which is to help real estate agents provide a great experience to the consumer, and we'll adopt every technology that makes sense in order to achieve that. And we'll continue to partner with strategic partners who are interested in that common goal of providing a great experience, that being a competitive, quality experience where the client is happy and grateful for the service provided. And I think that's the core that we'll stick with. And there will be all sorts of noise. And yes, the Inman conference brought lots of discussion and talk about the disruptive models. And I think we look at those, and in many, many cases, there's not a vast difference going on. It's smoke and mirrors in some cases as to what's different about that than some of the other successful models. Yeah,
and not to go into detail too much because we don't have enough time for that, but don't you also think that some of these models may or may not fare in different markets, different demographics? In other words, some of these models may have a little more traction in a different market. How would you assess that?
No, I don't think there's any question that certain markets with different demographics are going to be attractive to some of the different models. But, a lot of these discount models have been around for a long, long time. Yeah. And, Help You Sell has been a company that's been around for 30 years, and they still don't have any market share. So, I think there's going to be additional models coming on, and And some of them are going to get market share. They're going to buy the market share. And then the question will be, is the realtor really going to stick around and help them attain some semblance of profitability? Because at the end of the day, that's why a company exists, is to earn profit for the shareholders. And I think a lot of these companies are not analyzing that.
Yeah, good point.
Growing for the sake of growing without a sense for being profitable, I just don't think that's a long-term strategy.
Yeah. A couple more minutes before we finish up. If you're speaking directly to the consumer, which you are, eventually some of them are watching you, but later on they'll be listening to you. You're speaking directly to the consumers first. What would you tell the consumer? Hey, this is what Intero's doing. This is why I think we're a good fit for you. This is why we're excited about the future. What would you tell the consumer directly? You get the audience right now.
Well, I tell the consumer I always tell the consumer to shop around, interview a couple of quality agents, get some referrals, and interview somebody from Intero. Okay. Because what you'll find is there is a difference. And I think a smart consumer should fully understand what they're buying. And we've got a great crew of people dedicated to helping people with their real estate needs. So that's kind of what I would suggest. And I always have. I love the idea of getting an invite to the kitchen table and sitting with the homeowner and helping them see the difference.
Very good. So on the other side, what about the agents? So you're speaking directly to the agents out there, and not only the ones that are currently with Intero or anybody else that may be kind of wondering, where in the heck should I land in a market like this? What would you tell the agents out there?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think what I'd tell the agents is focus in on what your goals are and which company can help you attain those goals, and get some help in that process, because being an island is not for most. Going it alone is a difficult road to hoe. So if you're going to join up with a group, make sure it's a group with a good reputation, a good support and leadership that can help you get to the next level. And the next level isn't the same for every real estate agent. Some of them are focused on having a better quality of life as opposed to necessarily to making more money. So I would challenge each realtor to focus on what it is that their main goals are and find a company that can support that.
Yeah, very good. Lastly, as we talked a little bit too before the show and during the show, just so for full disclosure, as consumers are listening to this, what Brian and I both know is that when you hear about technology, we talk about technology and what we're deploying for our agents or people who work for us. Keep in mind that a lot of companies spend millions and millions of dollars on CRMs and technology and different things to deliver from the perspective of the employee or the agent side. And what most people need to know is, you and I know it, very, very few percentage of those, because they're independent agents, really take full use of those. So that's the other part. When a lot of people talk about, we've just launched this new technology, that's great, but you got to get a decent amount of your workforce to use it.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of definitely an interesting concept, because, we strive to deliver some of the best technology in the industry, and we know the adoption rate is not 100%. So, and it proves really that technology isn't an absolute necessity, because it's more of a relationship business. Yeah. A lot of the agents that have been doing this a long time are providing phenomenal experiences for their clients, and their clients really don't care what they use for a CRM, and they don't really care, how much they do social media or whatever. It's more on, are you going to provide a great experience? Can I trust you to provide a great experience? Will you look out for my money like it's your own money, and really go out and fight for me? And I think that's going to trump technology for as long as we have real estate.
Yeah. But I think we both would agree, and you said it earlier, I think we would say that one thing we should be doing is making sure we stay in touch with our clients after that transaction closes, right?
Well, that's a great point, right? The National Association of Realtors says that 70% of real estate agents don't stay in touch with their past clients, and that's just a shame. And we at Intero, we're actually taking the reins and letting the agents give us their database, and we're helping the agents stay in touch by providing quality content and then actually sending that out on behalf of the agents so that they can stay in touch and stay connected via via social media as well as an email campaign and those kinds of things. So we're going to try to help the agent stay focused on the business at hand and take over some of the marketing touch points that historically the agents have been on their own to do, and we know factually that typically they aren't doing it. According to NAR, National Association of Realtors, 70% don't do it. That's one of the initiatives we have at Intero, is to just kind of help the agent take care of that function.
Very good. So before we sign off, if someone's out there, they want to contact you or someone at Intero about real estate services or management, leadership, working for you, what's the best way to reach you guys?
The best way to reach me would be to email me or call me. My email is bcrane@intero.com. It's bcrane @intero.com, and or my phone number 408-357-5775. I also have a LinkedIn page that one could find me on LinkedIn, and I actually publish some articles about the market and different aspects of real estate that you can catch there.
Very good. Brian, thanks for your time. Appreciate it very much.
Joe, thank you very much. You got a great show here, and it's always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. Thanks again for tuning in today. We'll be back with you tomorrow. Take care. Have a great afternoon.
You've been listening to Real Estate Radio Live. For more information on today's program, visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com. Subscribe to our podcast. Discover more at RERadiolive.com.